Miles Morales is hitting the road for a whirlwind vacation filled with new friends and new enemies alike. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Miles Morales Spider-Man Annual 2024 #1 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so it's anthology time again for Spider-Man, and kicking things off, we have a big old story involving Miles and his family taking a vacation to San Juan, Puerto Rico, the shining star of the Caribbean. Oh, sorry, that's an old habit that's dying hard with me. This is cool for several reasons. One, I always love it when superheroes who are so entrenched in where they're from end up having to leave their element and go somewhere new. And secondly, this actually gives us the rare opportunity to actually get to know the other half of Miles's family, his mother's half, the Moraleses, which as a Miles fan is certainly something I've been clamoring for a bit, as it seems that all the major familial stories involving Miles are connected to his father and the Davises. Miles's parents actually sent him to Puerto Rico a few days early to get situated and to hang out with his abuela, Gloria. Naturally, our young hero is happy to exercise some independence, and he ends up making friends with some kids right away, though they admit his Spanish is kind of funny, as it seems that Miles speaks with a New Yorker accent that he cannot seem to shake. Now, how about abuela Gloria, Rio's mom? What kind of person is she? Well, it seems that she is a real forceful individual who tears a strip out of Miles for daring to get something to eat at the airport when she's been spending all day slaving over a hot stove, frying plantains and making mofongo, which I have still not actually had since the last time we brought it up on the channel, which is a real shame. I'm gonna have to knock that off the bucket list one of these days. It would seem that Miles's grandmother has actually newly moved back to Puerto Rico after having briefly lived in New York with the rest of the Morales family. Why did she do this? Well, as we learn from all the other tia abuelas, aka Gloria's sisters, apparently she just felt this pull to come back home. Again, she was torn between two different lives, something that Miles can certainly relate to being a hero. Someone who is also always trying to balance their great power and responsibility. We also learned that Gloria is actually the youngest of her sisters, and despite giving Miles such a hard time in private, apparently in public she does nothing but sing his praises about how great he is, how smart he is, etc., etc. After that, Miles and his grandma really end up hitting it off. They go to the market the next day to shop, wherein Miles ends up coming upon one of those kids he had met earlier being chased by a shop owner. Apparently this kid stole a stale loaf of bread from the garbage, and now he's getting the third degree over it. The chase ends up causing a major butterfly effect, and this poor kid almost ends up getting completely pancaked by an oncoming truck. Luckily, Miles is there to stop it by activating his cloaking powers to move everyone out of the way and stop the truck. Also, in an interesting bit of characterization, Miles' spider sense worked perfectly this time because he's so chill and at peace. It's here too we learned that Abuela Gloria is actually something of a spiritualist. She saw that her life and the lives of others were saved by an invisible force and naturally jumps to the conclusion that it must be a guardian ghost. But not just any guardian ghost either, the dearly departed spirit of her husband, who died not long after Rio was born, and hey, surprise, surprise, the guy looks a lot like how Miles will probably look when he gets older. Abuela Gloria speaks very highly of her dead husband, saying that he was a good guy with a strong moral code, someone who reminds her, you guessed it, a lot of Miles. Now, that's where the main and biggest story ends, but like I said, this is an anthology collection, so we got a few other stories to move through. Next up, we see Miles and his family hunker down, as Puerto Rico is assailed by a hurricane. Abuela Gloria says that in local lore, these storms were caused by angry gods. And well, because Miles is a curious kid who's met several real gods in his adventures as Spider-Man, he decides to suit up and go have a look in the eye of the storm, and wouldn't you know it, as soon as he gets there, he ends up coming face to face with the Storm of the X-Men. This is actually the first time these two characters have ever actually met, and Miles is more than just a little bit starstruck. And I mean, come on, it's Storm. She's a literal living goddess queen with Omega mutant powers that make her, well, basically every bit the gods that Abuela Gloria was describing to Miles before. Storm is actually so busy in what she's doing, she doesn't even clock right away that this is Miles as Spider-Man and not Peter. And they actually have a fun little back and forth where Aurora tries her hardest to get Miles to out his secret identity to her, but he's, resolute and smart enough to not just give it away. Turns out Storm wasn't causing the hurricane at all, quite the opposite. She was flying through the area, saw what was going on, and decided to intervene, feeling that the people of Puerto Rico have been through enough, and so she stuck around long enough to disperse the storm. Her and Miles leave on good terms, and yeah, that's basically the long and short of that one. Now, the third story actually relates much more to what's going on in the main in Miles Morales' Spider-Man book right now. We see Miles on the bus taking a trip to Atlanta so he can have a face-to-face meeting with Brielle, Blade's daughter. It seems that these two haven't actually seen each other since the end of the Blood Hunt event, and because Miles is still living with vampirism, he hopes that Bloodline can assist him. And indeed she does, but first Bloodline decides to test Miles to see how he's doing as a vampire by straight up attacking him all Pink Panther Clouseau style. After that, Miles opens up and unloads on her, talking about how freaked out he is about all these changes that are going on in his body right now, and he doesn't know what the future will hold for him. Thankfully, Brielle is super understanding because, well, she only just figured out her own vampire powers about a year ago, so if anyone is going to teach Miles, then, well, a friend might as well do it. And because apparently Atlanta is just filled to bursting with vampires, Bloodline and Miles even team up to fight a couple suckheads as that story comes to a close. Now, the final story in this collection is the shortest, but probably will end up being the most substantive, as we once again check back on in with the former Agent Gao, the woman who made it her life's mission to ruin Miles' life, even if it meant destroying her own life along the way. You'll remember that after being ousted from the police and the Cape Killer, she tried to start a mercenary company. That failed mainly because her top prospect, Taskmaster, decided to forsake her and take a job with Deadpool's new upstart mercenary company, and hey, surprise, surprise, Cody Ziegler writes that book too. Now it seems as the comic comes to a close, Gao wants to hire Deadpool and Taskmaster to go after Miles and finish the job that she couldn't once and for all. And so that was Miles Morales Annual 2024, everybody, and overall I thought this one was a pretty fun little issue. Not particularly a game changer or something that's gonna knock your socks off, but if you've been following the Miles character for a long time, I think you're gonna find a lot to enjoy here, mainly as we get to explore the Morales side of the family for the first time. We also get some nice movement on the vampire front. Say what you want about Blood Hunt as a story, it is cool to see Miles and Briella come together as friends and really support each other as young heroes in a weird place in their respective lives. I also really enjoyed getting to see the short return of Agent Gao and the promise that yes, we are most definitely going to be getting a Deadpool Miles crossover. Because I mean, really, why wouldn't we? Cody Ziegler writes both books, it was just inevitable. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. It's not exactly necessary reading to understand anything that's going on in the main Miles book right now, but it certainly is a fun little diversion filled with several very nice character pieces that I know I'm going to certainly remember moving forward. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Jewel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Jewel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.